Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to go in on Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, as pretty much everything we see happening today in the news with the wars and the rumors of wars. All right. Over the years, we've seen Russia, form alliances with many countries, former allies of the United States as well. All right. Are in league with Russia in these times. All right. And as we see this Israel-Iran friction and tension, it all speaks to the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right, and various prophecies that were written, all right, via various prophets, which when you put, all right, the narrative of all of the prophets and the visions that they saw together, you're able to get more of a clear picture, all right, of what Ezekiel, the 38th chapter is talking about. All right, now, of late, there has been controversy, all right, which that's good, when these particular controversies pop up with these camps, all right, the spirit is on us, all right, to do more study, all right, to freshen up on these topics, all right, and more information, all right, is opened unto us as the Lord is allowing the vision, all right, that is in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter to come to pass. Now, there are two particular camps, all right, in which we went back and forth on this topic. You have who you saw, Hassad, formerly of the Sakari, him and Deacon Hakah, make a fool of themselves, trying to break Ezekiel, the 38th chapter down as something that would happen after we return to the Holy Land. And we'll show you why that, makes no sense. All right. When you go into the vision, all right, basically they're saying that Russia is going to rule for some time, after the return of the Lord. And pretty much when they were, asked questions on the topic, even they themselves didn't really know, all right, which prompted, the guy Hassad to go up to one of the GMS camps, and the Lord, all right, because of his insincerity, all right, didn't want to deal with him. The Lord didn't have brothers to deal with him, all right. And you have the IUIC, right, which have their breakdown of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. They say that Ezekiel, the 38th chapter is going to take place after Yahweh Shai and the 144,000, along with the large multitude, rule for 1,000 years in the kingdom of heaven. All right, so you have, Sakari, their breakdown, all right, that ultimately, when we return back to the land at some point, Russia, all right, which they say Russia, but when you read this vision, it's going to be more than Russia, all right, that are accompanied with this prophecy. So Russia, Iran, Libya, and these various different nations are at some point after we're back in our land, with spiritual bodies are going to ultimately come up against us and I guess be obliterated. And then you have IUIC saying after 1,000 years of us reigning under Yahweh Shai in the kingdom, all right, ultimately Russia, who in the scriptures is known as Gog, will ultimately come out of the caves with weapons and try to fight against us. And it's going to lead to Ezekiel 38 and 39 being fulfilled, which means that the land is going to be destroyed. And it doesn't make sense. All right, so since these, controversies have broke out, we see what's happened with the Israel-Iran friction and tension, all right, which all of these things, all right, are associated with Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Now, these brothers here, all right, from the GMS Mississippi camp, okay, out of Jackson, Mississippi, all right, on the page GMS Kingdom Minded 144, recently did this video, and there's other brothers who did videos as well. Of course, the apostles, bishops, elders touched on it. But as you see here, subscribe, be edified. Different prophets, same prophecy, one event. All right, Ezekiel, the 38th chapter breakdown. All right, this is a great video that I believe all of you brothers and sisters should check out. These brothers go in. I was edified, opened my mind to particular things and had me looking stuff up. All right, and without a doubt, Ezekiel, the 38th chapter is taking place, right before our very eyes. All right, and it's a beautiful thing that as this controversy, with these camps and this breakdown popped up, all right, that this Israel, Iran situation, immediately came, all right, which speaks to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. And as we've been showing you, this is how America is going to be drawn into war, all right, as we look up, see if I can find this particular article. Okay, as you look up what's happening, all right, we know that United States and the state of Israel, are in cahoots. They're in league. The U.S. all right, along with the beast system, the EU, and in particular NATO members always come to the aid of Israel. They've aided Israel, all right, and America, with their war crimes, all right, to the point where an EU chief, all right, I recently did a video, had to admit the hypocrisy, all right, of calling out other countries and alliances as evil and wicked, when ultimately the beast has aided America and Israel in multiple war crimes. You see, breaking the rules, just doing all kind of wickedness. Now, as you can see here, U.S. and UK expected to be drawn in, all right, as Iran prepares retaliation against Israel, all right. And we know what the scriptures say: the least of the flock, all right, are going to draw them out, all right. So Israel, all right, is going to be a major player and factor, all right, in getting World War III popped off. All right. And we're not saying that this particular situation, all right, is going to lead to World War III happening tomorrow. All right. But things are happening, as Yahushua told us, watch for the signs, and all of these things that are happening are signs. So the U.S., UK, all right, are ultimately going to be drawn into war. And this will spark off World War III as Iran, Russia, and these various different nations are preparing, okay, to wage an assault on Israel, all right, and the West. Now, when you go to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, all right, which we're going to break this chapter down, Lord willing, you brothers and sisters be edified. This is a future prophecy, all right, that is coming to pass in our day, okay? Remember, when Yahushua returns, all of the elites of the world are going to scurry into the bunkers. Let's get that in the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter. Okay, before we get into this vision, Revelation, the 6th chapter. All right. In the 14th verse, and heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. It's the destruction that's going to take place, of Babylon the Great, war taking place on the planet Earth. We know the land of Israel is going to be decimated as well, according to this vision we're getting ready to read. Okay. And when these things take place, all right, that's going to usher in the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, to deliver his elect out of these atrocities that are happening on the planet Earth. So when he comes, it says, and the kings of the earth and the great men, including the kings of Russia, all right, Gog, right, and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. They hid themselves in the dens and the rocks of the mountains, the bunkers, which Russia is known, all right, for their many bunkers. I believe to, pretty much even regular residents, for the most part have bunkers, all right. over here in the Americas, after around the 50s, pretty much houses haven't been created or built with dens or bunkers. You see? But the Lord, if you're looking at, the videos, the Lord has given these devils the means to build these bunkers because they have to be preserved. Okay? They have to be preserved for prophecy's sake, so that they can go into captivity. So the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, right? Fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? None of these nations will be able to stand. All right. And once Babylon is destroyed, the economies of the world will all be messed up. Everything will be in disarray. The chariot will be in the sky along with other chariots, all right, that follow the main chariot. The elect will be delivered. All right. And on the earth, it will be a chaotic environment. It won't be a system to be ruled. All right. Yes, we know the nations are going to conspire to fight against the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, pursuant to 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter. All right, but they will all ultimately be decimated. Okay, give me 1 second. 1 second, Salakia. They're going to be decimated. They're going to lose, and their elites are going to scurry into the bunkers. All right, and they'll be there trying to fight and do whatever they have to do, with their technology, but it's not going to work. And New Jerusalem will come down to enslave them. So from this point, this marks the end of the heathen rulership. All right. The time of the Gentiles will be ended, pursuant to Luke 21 and 24. All right. If you keep reading down, all right, it will be ended, all right, by the Son of Man coming in the clouds. You see? So when you get Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, this is a vision that's going to take place, all right, before the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, leading into when he comes. All right. Now, Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, all right, is a prophecy about Gog and a future invasion of Israel, which is getting ready to take place in our lifetime. Okay. Ezekiel 38:1 says, and a word of Yahweh came unto me, Ezekiel, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Now, understand that the chapter prior to Ezekiel 38 is Ezekiel 37, foretelling the great awakening of the Israelites, the rebuilding of the tabernacle of David, Judah and Ephraim awakening in the land of the north, all right, which is Babylon the Great, the dry bones awakening, and eventually being returned back to their land, But before we return back to our land, there's a series of events that must take place, including the implementation of the MOTB, all right, as well as civil war, civil unrest, all right, in World War III. You see, which these events that we're reading here, all right, all lead up, all right, to the very end and when Yahweh shall return. So Ezekiel 38:2 says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, okay, which ultimately speaks to Russia, the chief prince. All right, when you look up this word, chief prince, okay, let's see, chief, all right, is Ra'ash, all right, head, summit, upper part, chief, total, sum, all right, head. And Russia is pretty much leading, all right, and at the head of the rebellion, all right, against the West and against Israel. So the Lord is using Russia for a very, very important purpose, all right, but again, all right, he's against them. So it says, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, okay, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, all right, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, which goes into the area of Armenia, okay, as well as Turkey, okay, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, all right, which Russia, all right, is ultimately gonna, make alliances with Turkey, all right. Recently, all right, Armenia, which we'll show you in prophecy, have recently made arms deals with Russia, all right, and all of these nations, all right, are aligning themselves together for the purpose of coming against Israel, all right, and leading and waging war against the West, as we'll show you. Okay, it says, and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog. See, the Lord is against Russia, all right. You can't give Russia too much credit. It's just that they're being used in end time prophecy to lead a rebellion against the West, all right, and against those small hats. All right. So it says, behold, I am against thee, all right, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right. And this is symbolizing a wild animal. All right. You put hooks into the jaws of a wild animal to tame it. All right. And when you go into prophecy, Russia is known as the bear. Let's get Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay. Let's get Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right. And let's see here. In the second verse, in the beast, which is this beast system that is at its end, the revival of Rome. Okay. The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. It started with the Greeks, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. All right. The feet of a bear represents Russia, because Russia is going to be used, all right, as the main vessel, all right, to lead the end of this beast system, all right. And when you go into this word bear, right, arctos, okay, a bear, all right. Now, we know if you look, all right, even in this time, Russia is associated with the bear. The bear is a common symbol of Russia, all right, representing both good and bad qualities. And the Lord, all right, had these things worded this way so that we can, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, go into these things and link it all together. Okay. The bear is a common symbol of Russia, representing both good and bad qualities. It has been used in Russian society since the 16th century, representing national pride, strength, power, and might, as well as ferocity and club-footedness. All right. And, you can go and look up more on that. But as you can see here, a Romanized Russia, widespread symbol generally of the Eurasian brown bear. All right. You can look, more into that. But here in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, the way that this beast system will be ended, all right, will be led by Russia, Arctos. All right. And when we go to the root word, what do we see here? Archeo, which means what? To be possessed of unfailing strength, to be strong, to suffice, to be enough, to defend, to ward off, to be satisfied, to contend, to defend. All right. And we're seeing, all right, Russia, all right, even with this particular situation with Iran, all right, they're being used as a defender. Okay. As you see here, Russia said to be delivering advanced, all right, air defenses to Iran. All right. And it's not just Iran that they're helping. All right. Because Iran depends on Russia for military might. Russia depends on Iran for oil. All right. Which they have other alliances as well. All right. The BRICS. Okay. And so forth, which will tie into those things. But ultimately, Russia is going to be used, all right, as the main tool, all right, to gather these various different nations, okay, to come up against Israel, which is going to draw the West into battle. Okay. And even if this isn't, all right, the very time where it'll happen, it's going to happen eventually. Okay. So ultimately, all right, it says here, say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I'm against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. So the Lord is against Russia. He's just using them for a very important purpose. All right. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right. Because if you know anything about history, since the Cold War so-called ended, NATO was formulated. All right. And the USSR, all right, ultimately disbanded. Give me 1 second. All right. The USSR disbanded. Okay. And pretty much it became less dominant. All right. And NATO and the West, along with the EU, were pretty much the powerhouse. Okay. But we're living in a time where now the Lord is putting hooks into the jaws of Russia. Okay. For the purpose of prophecy. All right. He's bringing them back into that old Soviet spirit. All right. And many nations are aligning themselves with them. All right. Which is what this vision foretells. Okay. So, prior to, in the 90s, before the USSR disbanded, it was a world power. All right. The United Social Republic, the United Social or Soviet Republic was pretty much a united government. It was a world power. Okay. And you have to understand, they were the first to put satellites in space. They were the first to so-called send a man to space. Okay. But they fell off. All right. And there's been constant friction between the West and Russia. Right. And NATO was created for the purpose of, defending itself. All right. Defending Babylon against Russia. Okay. And pretty much you can go back to the time of Gorbachev. All right. Russia got weak. They fell off. The USSR disbanded. But we're living in a time under Putin. All right. Where they're getting back into that Soviet spirit. All right. And balking and mocking the West. See? So it's a beautiful time to be alive. Okay. So let's see here. Let's keep reading. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right. And I will bring thee forth that bear and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. All right. Even with a great company of bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. All right. And man, Russia has one of the #1 militaries in the world. All right. They're aiding various different countries who are aligning themselves with them. All right. With defense systems. All right. Missile assault, systems. Okay. To where pretty much Russia is formulating its own beast system. All right. And of the particular nations that are going to be aligned with them. Okay. You have Persia. All right. Which that's Iran. Okay. Now, currently, we see a back and forth between Israel and Iran. All right. And Russia, okay, has interest with Iran. Now, to understand that tie, let's get a quick article here real quick. All right. Which these brothers brought this out in their video, the Persian-Russian connection. All right. Tehran's ties with Russia are growing, making Iran a stronger force in the region and increasing the danger it poses to the United States and its allies. See? And Israel is a big-time ally of the United States. Okay? The United States sends billions of dollars in aid, sometimes monthly, all right, to aid Israel. All right? This is how Israel, all right, as small as it is able to get away with so much because they have the backing of the United States. They have the backing, in some, points of the UK. All right, in other countries. But as you can see here, it says the latest Gaza war is more than just another bloody round of endless conflict between Israel and Hamas. All right. The fighting is a product of a shifting Middle East where new alliances are transforming the politics of the region. Although the Biden administration and other allies of Israel has been promoting, all right, Israeli-Saudi normalization as one such alliance, a counterforce is already in the works, deepening ties between Iran and Russia. All right. Now, again, when you get Ezekiel the 38th chapter, if you're saying that this is going to take place after the 1,000-year period, okay, or after we're back in the land, you're not just saying that Russia is going to come up against us when we're back in the land. You're saying Russia, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and all of these various different, countries are going to be in some form of power, after Yahushua returns. And somehow they're going to gather all of these weapons, all right, even though the scriptures tell you that their armies are going to be destroyed. So these people don't know what the hell they're talking about, man. Okay? Now, let's go back here. Give me 1 second here. Let's go back to this article. It says, from Tehran's perspective, all right, an informal alliance with Russia is ideologically and historically odd, all right, but it's strategically enticing. It's prophecy is what it is. All right. Iran and Russia have been rivals for almost 2 centuries. Iran's former supreme leader, all right, hated the Soviet Union almost as much as he hated the United States. All right, scorning godless communism and seeing the Soviet Union as an aggressive power that sought to undermine Iran's revolutionary regime. But today, the Islamic Republic needs a great power backer as Russia fits their bill. Even if Russia arms are deficient compared with their Western counterparts, Moscow can provide a full range of weapons, all right, that Iran desperately needs. All right, and to this, all right, add to this a friend on the UN Security Council that gives Iran diplomatic clout, as well as their mutual rejection of democracy and human rights. All right. And Iran's infatuation with Russia, all right, becomes even more understandable. So it's prophecy, and we'll read this last paragraph, and you can find this article and get it on your own. Moscow's interest in Tehran is a bit harder to explain. It starts with the range of common interests that are generally anti-U.S., all right, as well as anti-small hat, as we can see, opposed to democratic values, wary of Sunni Muslim fundamentalism. Indeed, the modern Iran-Russia relationship initially grew from cooperation, all right, between their prospective intelligence services to looking to keep an eye on various Sunni fundamentalist groups that emerged in the Caucasus and Central Asia. All right, also in the area of Syria. All right, Iran and Russia has interest, which America funds these particular groups to go over there and disrupt and cause chaos. All right, so that they can steal the resources, because the land of Syria is rich in resources. All right, so all of these things are causing friction, all right, and this is all a fulfillment of what we see written in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right, in the East, they share a sense of fear and opportunism, all right, all right, worrying that regional unrest could topple anti-Western partners like Bashar al-Assad, but hoping that the strife will allow them to undermine their enemies and expand their own influence. All right, and you can keep reading this, all right, which I don't want to go too far in it because we're going to break the chapter down. But as you can clearly see here, all right, Russia and Iran, Persia, okay, Persia is modern day Iran. I believe in 1935, they changed their name to Iran. All right, then it says Ethiopia. I mean, all you have to do is look up Russia-Ethiopian ties. All right, as Russia has joined forces with Ethiopia, or Ethiopia needed Russia, right? And pretty much they've built embassies in each other's countries. Russia has trained up Ethiopia's military, and now their ally, Libya, which we know Libya is mad as hell at the West. They're aligning themselves with Russia. All you have to do is really type in, okay, Russia, Ethiopian, all right, military corporation. See what comes up. I guess I looked that up before. All right, but does Russia support Ethiopia? I mean, these things are happening now in our time, okay? Following the Ogaden War, the Soviet Union strengthened its ties with Ethiopia. Moscow provided, all right, the Derg with more than $11 billion in military aid, all right. What? Being an aid into them, leading to the creation of the largest army in sub-Saharan African. Okay? So you can go into this history if you would like to get more understanding on it. All right? But there you go. Okay? Africa in the news, Russia's military foothold. All right? Ethiopia's first. And here we go. The internet is starting to trip. Oh boy. All right, but there you go. You can look that up. You can look up Russia, Libya. All right. Relations. Okay. Russia also regards Libya as one of its stronger allies in the Arab world. Okay. So there you go. I mean, and has supported stabilization in the country following the aftermath of the Libyan civil war, which we know, the West had a lot to do with that. They're destabilizing a lot of these, places so that they can work their wickedness, set up their government, steal resources, and be the devil, which all of them are the devil. All right. But the West is a special devil. All right. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Salakia. So yeah, the Libya and Russia has ties. Okay. Let's go back to Ezekiel 38. Okay. It says, let's see here. All right. And again, Iran, which is Persia, they depend on Russian military aid to protect them from those small hats. And as we can see here, Russia said to be delivering advanced air defenses to Iran, all right, as Tehran tells ties, all right. Iranian officials say Russia has begun delivering advanced air defense and radar equipment to Iran after Tehran asked, all right, for the arms. All right. So there you go. Okay. And all of these nations are going to form a coalition, all right, to come up against the land of Israel. This is happening in our time. This is happening now, right before the return of the Lord. It's not going to happen afterwards. Okay. It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, which we just showed you small, just which you can look these things up. And if you find anything, put it on the comment board so that those who read the comments can learn more. If you find something of any particular ties or something you want to look up or something you want to add, you may know more. Okay. We're just tying what's happening now to biblical prophecy. Okay. And again, these are all things that other prophets as well saw and spoke of. As a matter of fact, when you get the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter and the 9th verse, because this is going to lead to an assault against Babylon the Great. Okay, it says, for lo, Jeremiah 50:9, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, okay, aligning themselves with Russia, right? And they shall set themselves in array against her, and from thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. All right. So these nations eventually coming up against America. All right. As the scriptures say, the least of the flock, I believe it's in this chapter, are going to draw them out. Okay. Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans, Babylon the Great. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. So the least of the flock, all right, which when you look at Israel, all right, it's pretty much a colony of British, of the British, all right, that was established in 1948. But prior to 1948, all right, and some of the 1800s, the early 1900s, they were bringing in, all right, particular small hats to go and get into that land because they had a plan for that land. All right. And eventually they made it the state of Israel in 1948. Okay. Which they say that was a fulfillment of the true biblical Israelites returning to that land. It wasn't. So the least of the flock, okay, is Israel is going to draw Babylon out. All right. Which is going to basically, they're going to be made desolate. And ultimately, at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the whole earth is moved. All right. And their cry is heard among the nations. So these are things that are getting ready to happen. Okay. And various different prophets spoke of the same event, but they seen it in their, they broke it down in their own way. All right. This is a puzzle. That's why you have to go line upon line and precept upon precept. See, a lot of you dudes are reading Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Then you read Revelation 20. And you don't understand, all right, because ultimately the spirit is not with you. You see? Now, let's get this real quick. This is the book of Jeremiah 51:27. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together the nations of Ararat, which is Turkey. All right, which Turkey has played the fence between NATO and Russia and, doing their own thing for years. All right, but Turkey is going to choose, all right, their Arab Muslim brothers when it's all said and done. Okay, Turkey, all right, and certain members of, the EU, all right, they're at odds with Israel with what they're doing, all right, to those Palestinians. All right, they're calling them out. As we'll show you, right? Ararat is Turkey, all right? Many is Armenia, which over the years have, been back and forth. I mean, they have an alliance with Russia, the CSTO, which recently they're threatening to leave the alliance, all right? But, the question is, like it says here, let's see here. Historically, why is Armenia not in NATO? Historically, Armenia's policies have often aligned, all right, it closer with Russia than NATO members. It's a founding member of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, CSTO, all right, an alternative Russian-led military alliance. All right, and right now they're threatening, all right, I'm pretty sure if you look up into the news, all right, Armenian leaders announcing plan to leave Russian-dominated alliance. All right, talking about their plan in war, but ultimately, all of them are going to agree in one. Russia and Armenia have always kind of like had a back and forth relationship. Okay, but again, you can look up Russian, all right, Turkey, which they've been kind of back and forth. All right, but right here, U.S. warns Turkey of consequences over military-linked exports to Russia. Okay? Turkey was threatened, all right, with sanctions for cooperation with Russia. So again, what we're witnessing and what we're seeing happening in the world, the U.S. demands quick curbs from Turkey on military trade with Russia. All right? So what we're seeing happen in the world is all tied to these prophecies, man, including Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. These things are happening now. Okay, as you can see here, set ye up a standard in the land, Jeremiah 51:27. All right, blow a trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together her kingdoms, against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Turkey, Mini, Armenia, and Ashkenaz. All right, Germany. Okay, and Germany is sour towards the West, with the sanctions they put on Russia, which is messing up their economy. All right, appoint a captain against her and cause the horses to come up, all right, as rough as the caterpillars. All right, they're all going to align together. There's going to be many of them. Prepare against her the nations of the kings of the Medes. Now, when you look up the Medes in prophecy, all right, we know the Medes were Japhetic. Japhet has no hold, all right, in end time prophecy. They have no input in end time prophecy. Okay, the Japhetic people, had their rulership under the Medes, but In prophecy, all you have to do is look up. Let's see if we can look it up for you. Look up ancient the ancient Medes Empire map, right? Okay. Right. And you could see, all right, you see Armenia. It's pretty much in the area, all right, of where Russia is. All right. So when you see the kings of the Medes in prophecy, it's speaking to Russia today. All right. Because when the USSR was all together, they ruled in the area where the ancient Mede Empire was, man. Point blank, period. Okay. Let's see here. All right. It's all in that area. See? All right. This is the, all right, Soviet Union. All right. USSR. All right. Before it disbanded, this is what Russia had to itself. Now, as you can see here, all right, the Caspian Sea right there. Along these lines, you go to the ancient Media Empire. All right, it's in that area. All right, see the Caspian Sea right there. All right, this is an ancient map, but today's map, ultimately, boom, Russia ruled in this area, so it points, all right, to the USSR dominance. So, again, when you go into prophecy and you see the Medes, right, that are tied to end time prophecy, that's really speaking to Russia. All right, because Russia rules in the land, all right, where the original Japhetic people once dwelled. Okay, Isaiah 13 and 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, all right, against the west, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. And that's the BRICS alliance right there. All right, where they're trying to pretty much formulate their own currency, which it will be digital, to get around, all right, the power of the petrodollar. All right, which Saudi Arabia, one of America's number one, oil partners, has ended an alliance they had, and they're siding with the BRICS nations. So when you see the Medes in prophecy, okay, this is talking about, all right, the as you can see here, Jeremiah 51 and 11, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. All right, the Lord have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. All right, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord and the vengeance of his temple, his people. All right, so this is not talking about the true Japhetic people. It's speaking of the people who rule in this land now. And the chief over that area is Russia. Okay. Gog. Okay. So going back here, Jeremiah 51. All right. And 28, prepare against her the nation with the kings of the Medes. These nations are going to be joined with the kings of the Medes, which is Russia, and the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the lands of his dominions. All right. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon, all right, a desolation without inhabitation. See? So going back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, okay, we can see that different visions that different prophets saw align, all right, with everything that's happening here in this chapter. All right. But different nations are named directly. But the Spirit has to be working with you to put these things together, man. Okay. So let's keep reading. All right. Ezekiel, all right, 38 and 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. They're going to be with Russia, all of them with shield and helmet. All right, verse 6. Gomer and all of his bands, okay, which I believe speaks to Germany. Okay, now Germany, all right, currently has ties with America. All right, we know they're a part of the EU. All right, Germany, shares values with the West and with Israel, but all of that's going sour in these times. okay, because of the way that they're moving. And as the scriptures say in the book of Obadiah, right? The book of Obadiah, the first chapter, or the only chapter, right? Which here in Obadiah 1 and 1, I broke this down wrong some weeks ago. As you read here, Obadiah 1 and 1, the vision of Obadiah, all right, which really is a vision against, all right, those small hats and against the West, okay? Their ill dealings are going to lead to the end of Esau, Edom. But it says, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, okay? And an ambassador is sent among the heathen, arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle, all right? And when you go into history, this individual here, all right, Gamal Abdel Nasser, all right, pretty much led a rebellion against those small hats. And pretty much he considered Israel, you know, a bridgehead of Western imperialism, which they called a conspiracy theory, but he was right. Okay. And as you can see here, he appointed himself prime minister, launched the war of attrition to regain the Israeli occupied, all right, Sinai Peninsula, all right, which there's a lot of history that ties into that, all right, but ultimately an evil eye, you know, over the years have been turned towards those small hats, okay, and as you keep reading down, they will become small among the heathen, hated, and everywhere you look, everybody's cursing these devils out. When you go here to the book of Obadiah, verse 7, I'm going to read this in the NLT, okay, it says, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land, okay? They will promise you peace, all right, while they plot to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. And this is what's happening right now as these alliances amongst the EU, all right, and these various different nations that have aided Babylon the Great, that have aided, all right, those small hats, they're all disbanding right now, all right, and moves are being made. And many countries are eventually going to side with Russia. All right. But as you see here, Ezekiel 38 and 6, it says Gomer and all his bands. All right. The house of Togarmah. All right. Turkey. All right. Of the north quarters and all his bands. All right. And many people are going to, you know, side with these nations, man. And many people with thee. Okay. Be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. Be thou a guard unto them. So Russia is going to be a guard unto these nations. Okay. The word guard is mashamar. All right. A place of confinement. All right. To guard, as we read in these Revelation 13, guard, post, watch. All right. Observance. All right. So Russia, all right, is pretty much going to be a safe place for these nations to align themselves with, against the madness going on with the small hats and with the West. Okay. Russia is going to lead this, and we're seeing it all happen right now, man. Okay. So the Lord in the spirit is saying, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all that company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. Because ultimately a war is going to be started with Israel, and all of these different nations are going to join together. And that's going to draw the West, okay, into war, okay? It says, after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, all right, which we're in that time right now, all right? Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, okay? And that speaks to Israel and to America, okay? It says, and is gathered out of many people, all right, against the mountains of Israel, all right, and all of these nations are going to come against, all right, the government, all right, against the power of Israel, all right, which we know that is an establishment, all right, of the British, all right, which is why America holds so dear unto them, which have always been waste, all right, and what does the scripture say about that land, all right, in the book of let's get Luke, the 21st chapter, right? Luke 21 and 24, All right. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. The true Jews were kicked out of that land in 70 AD. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. All right. So we're living in that time where the time of the Gentiles are being fulfilled. So Jerusalem will be under the control of, all right, absolute devils. All right. As the scriptures say, let favor, see here, let favor. All right. Isaiah 26:10, let favor be shown unto the wicked, yet he will not learn righteousness. And in the land of uprightness, where he is in that region, he will deal unjustly and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. See? So Jerusalem will be trodden down of actual Gentiles, heathens, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now let's look up this word times. All right. The word times of the Gentiles, kairos. Okay. Do measure. All right. All right. Opportune or seasonable time. A fixed, indefinite time, the times where we are in now, the time when things are about to be brought to a crisis. All right. The decisive epoch awaited. All right. The limit period of time that they have to rule is getting ready to be over. All right. And the priest Tazamah brings out something in this definition. I have to find it. All right. But it's dealing with prophecy being fulfilled. You see? Forget where it's at. That's too much to read through. All right. Equivalent to what time brings, the state of times, seasons. All right. The last period of the present age. All right. The time just before the return of Yahweh Shai. And we're witnessing these things happening right before our very eyes, before the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay. And the time of the Gentiles are being fulfilled, because in Ezekiel 36, it tells you, all right, how these heathen would pretty much have control of the land. Ezekiel 36:5 says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, the Edomites, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their hearts, their minds, with despiteful minds to pass it. All right, to cast it out for a prey. So they're casting it out for a prey because they're not ruling the way the Heavenly Father wants them to rule. Or not wants them to rule, or is supposed to be ruled. So the residue of the heathen, you have, the Arabs, some Elam, Palestinians, and all Idumea. They pretty much came to an agreement where, you can have this portion of the land, you can have that portion of the land. But since then, they've been at war over the land. All right, with the small hats being on the offense, breaking covenants, all right, and ultimately ethnically cleansing, all right, those Palestinians out of that land. So that's why I said it's been laid waste, all right. It says, but it is brought forth out of the nations. Let's read this in the NLT, right? It says, a long time from now, you will be called into action. And Russia is being called into action with all of these different nations. Okay, again, if you're saying that this is speaking of a time after we return to the land, not only is it Russia, you got Libya, Iran. So if you're saying this is after the Lord returns, right, then you're saying pretty much after the Lord returns, all of these nations are going to be in some form of power under Russia, which doesn't make sense. All right, a long time from now, you will be called into action in the distant future, which Ezekiel received this vision at the time of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And here it is now. We're in Babylon the Great. This is that distant future. You will swoop down on the land of Israel, which will be enjoying peace after recovering from war, right? And we see that they're at war now, okay? Going back and forth, all right? And again, we're not saying that these things are going to be fulfilled all in, within this, particular situation we see here, but this is all a part of it. All right. And after its people have returned from many lands to the mountains of Israel, and that goes into the Aliyahs. You can look that up. The first Aliyah, the second Aliyah. All right. All right. right. You can look up Aliyah. What is the Aliyah to Israel? All right. For generations of Jews, going to Israel has been viewed spiritually and geographically as an upgrade. Now Aliyah has come to refer to the process of obtaining citizenship and residency by moving to the state of Israel. Okay. So you could look that up. You know, these small hats, you know, through their propaganda, returning to that land, and then eventually through the Balfour Declaration, making it a state. Okay. So that's what that's talking about. And they've dwelled safely for the most part because, I mean, let's look up how much aid, all right, how much aid does Israel get? Okay. They get billions. How much aid does U.S. give to Israel? You're not going to get the true answers here. All right. Israel is the largest, all right, cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign aid. All right. In 2022, the U.S. provided Israel with $150 billion. Now, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are over here catching hell. But they're sending these devils, all right, military aid, all right, billions of dollars. They get billions of dollars from, they get money from Germany. They get money from all over the place. All right. But here it is in 2023, between 1950 and 2022, Israel received $225 billion in U.S. military aid. And that's just military aid. But here it is. They got the nerves to call you Israelites welfare babies. So they've been able to dwell safely through being protected by the West, the British to a degree, and so forth, right? In different nations, right? So they've been able to dwell safely and chill. All right. They got all kind of attractions. They have the Pink City. All right, let's look that up. The Pink City. What's that? Forget. Tel Aviv. Yeah, the Pink City. They're over there winning. Okay? Doing all kind of abominations. Right? So let's keep going. Ezekiel 38:9, and thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud over the land, thou and all thy bands, and the many people with thee. So again, if you're saying that this is after Yahushua returns and after we return to the land, or after the 1,000 years of us ruling in that land, then you're mistaken, because not only is it going to be Russia, all right, but where the hell are they going to get all these weapons from when all of their armies are going to be laid waste once they're gathered for that war? Okay, again, when these nations, when all of this is happening, all right, and Israel's, the land of Israel's destroyed, which eventually is going to lead to World War III, and America's destroyed, that's going to usher in the return of our Lord. Okay. 2nd Esdras 13. All right. And 29, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them which are upon the earth, the elect, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, because that chariot is going to be in the sky, and one shall undertake to fight against another. It's going to be war. One city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. At that time, all right, shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs, all right, which shall happen, which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, which thou sawest a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have against one another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and overcome him by fighting. So they're going to leave the war they have against each other. It's going to be all out war. The land of Israel is going to be decimated. America's eventually going to be decimated. Yahweh Shah is going to return, and it's still going to be war going on, but they're all going to leave the war they have against each other and fight against Yahweh Shai, including Russia. But he shall stand up on the Mount Zion. The Israelites are going to be delivered, that chariot, and Zion shall come and be showed to all men. They're going to see the elect be delivered, prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into a tempest. So if the Lord is going to rebuke all of their inventions, including their militaries and their technology, when we return back to the land, that's going to be to set up order. So how in the hell is Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, going to be after we're in the land ruling or after the 1,000-year period? See, when you get Revelation 20, again, you're supposed to read 1 through 3, and then you have to jump to 7. You see, 4 through 6 is speaking of a different 1,000-year period. And we always go through this. If you need the breakdown, just ask on the comment board. I'm not going to go into it. But here, after the 1,000-year period, all right, which leads to the Renaissance, after the 1,000-year period where Esau, Edom was downtrodden, the Western Roman Empire fell, all right, Satan, the children of Satan were loosed out of their prison. The biblical Edomites were able to what? Rebuild, to fulfill the prophecy of them having the fatness of the earth. This had to happen. They didn't have the fatness of the earth under the Western Roman Empire, but they were ruling. They ruled a portion of the earth. So Satan will be loosed out of his prison, and they shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, which is going to lead to Gog and Magog gathering these different nations to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. You see? So, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed, all right, the camp of the saints about in the beloved city, all right, which ultimately we know eventually they're going to shoot missiles on the land of Israel, but they're going to come after the elect as well. And fire came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them. Okay, and the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, okay, where the beast and the false prophet are, meaning all of their power is going to be taken down. Okay, all of their power is going to be taken away, all right, by war, by missiles, and by the fire from the chariots. And synonymously, the elect are going to be beamed up and delivered. Okay, but see, if you're saying that this is after 1,000 years of us ruling in the kingdom, then that doesn't make sense. We're going to be superpowers under Yahweh Shai. The heathen are going to be subdued, learning the law, statutes, and commandments, including the elites of Russia. Okay? Including the elites of Russia. Point blank period, man. So I don't understand. Again, this is where you got guys try to be deep and different, but it doesn't make sense. All of these events are going to take place leading into the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And as it says here, Russia and these different nations are going to ascend on the land of Israel. And we know, pursuant to the book of Jeremiah, the least of the flock is going to draw Babylon out to war. And eventually all of these different nations are going to band together to shoot missiles on Babylon the Great. And then Yahweh Shah returns, and all of them are going to leave the war they have with each other to fight against him, and they're going to be crushed, and their elites are going to scurry into the bunkers. And that's it for them. They're just awaiting New Jerusalem to come down because they saw us get beamed up, right? The scriptures say their enemies beheld them getting beamed up. So when we come down, New Jerusalem, that's it. That's to set up order on earth. From that point on, there will be no more war, all right, from these heathen. All right, as the Lord says, he's going to make war to cease. He maketh war to cease. Is that the book of, is that Proverbs 46, Psalms 46 and 9, Proverbs 46, goddamn. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. This is what's going to happen. Okay, so these heathen, once we're beamed up and come back down, they're not going to have no more power. only captivity and being set in order for their asses, man. So this event that we're reading about, this is going to take place, all right, during, all right, leading into World War III, during war, and then the Lord returns. Okay. So here in Ezekiel 38:9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud over the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God. Okay. And it shall come to pass that at that time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. The Lord is going to put an evil thought in the mind of Russia and these various different nations, man. And thou shalt say, I will go to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest. All right. Those small hats who pretty much rule the world. Okay. Change their last names. Okay. And you Americans, right, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither gates nor bars. All right. And when you look at, what's the name of that Russian, not that Russian, that the, as a matter of fact, let me look it up real quick. The, let's see, Israel, the dome, Israel, what's that dome name? What's the name of that dome? Give me 1 second here. Iron Dome. The Iron Dome of Israel, all right, while it is a very capable defense system, it has holes in it. As a matter of fact, Israel Iron Dome weaknesses. Right, because their defense system, all right, it is powerful. Okay, some of the limitations are as follows. All right, cost: the system is expensive to deploy and maintain, limited range. It's primarily designed to intercept short-range rockets and artillery shells. It is not effective, all right, against longer-range ballistic missiles. Now, all of these nations are surrounding Israel. So, all right, the Iron Dome is only going to get them, all right, so far. Okay. As you can see here, it's 90% effective, but it can get overwhelmed if a mass barrage of rockets is fired. See, and it's going to be a mass barrage of rockets fired. All right. Pretty much I pulled this up. All right. All of these particular lands mentioned, all right, are circling Israel, Ethiopia, Libya, Togarmah, Persia. They're all circling Israel. So that Iron Dome is only going to take them so far. All right. And we know the American military, all right, is spread thin. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up. All right. Let me pull this up. I'm going to read this real quick. The limitations of the American military. All right. The size, the military is about half the size as it should be because nobody, all right, wants to join. All right. The men of Babylon have forborne to fight. All right. In particular, is aging faster than it can modernize, struggling to recruit young people. All right. The equipment, much of the military's, all right, primary equipment is 30 to 40 years old. The Navy, for example, needs a battle force of 400-man ships, but is struggling to fund new ships, maintenance, and munitions. Training: soldiers, sailors, and others are training less than they should, all right, to compete in battle. Leadership: the government's own numbers show that the military is weak, though this doesn't reflect on men and women who serve. All right. Ability to handle multiple conflicts. Okay. The military, speaking of America's military, may not be able to handle two major conflicts at once due to underfunding, poor priorities, and shifting security policies. So just like the ancient Roman Empire, okay, the revival of Rome is spread too thin. Okay. And they're not as powerful as they once were. All right. Because of prophecy. Okay. So though Israel, all right, in America are known as powerhouses, really America and Israel aids them. Okay. They're lacking. Okay. That's why it's known as, let's go back here. Give me 1 second here. Salakia. Got a lot going on, but I wanted to get this lesson out. All right. Wanted to get this lesson out. Give me 1 second. All right. Ezekiel 38 and 30 and 11. And thou shalt say, I will go to the land of unwalled villages. All right. Again, the Iron Dome, all right, defense system of Israel, while it is, a good defense system, all right, they have to turn it according to who's attacking. Well, when all of these nations attack, all right, it's ultimately going to be unwalled. And I will go to them that are at rest, all right, that dwell safely, all right. And at this same time, they're going to be, planning to come against America too. All right. The wealthy nation that dwelleth without care. All right. Let's get that real quick. Okay. All right. Jeremiah 49 and 31. Arise, get you up to the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care, saith the Lord, which have neither gates nor bars. All right. America defense. All right. Is not what it used to be. Okay. The GMD system has been effective 55% of the time in highly scripted tests in order to reach a level of 90%. All right. The United States can intercept only a handful of ballistic missiles, which Russia and them are going to have. Okay, so this prophecy speaks to America, or Israel and America, because America is going to be drawn in. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Right? And this is the Lord's plan. Okay? It says, Ezekiel 38 and 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither gates nor bars. All right? It says to take a spoil and to take a prey. Now, how in the hell are we going to be in our land with new bodies? All right. And these nations are going to come take a spoil. All right. To turn thine hand on the desolate places that are now inhabited and spiritually is desolate. Okay. But it's inhabited by heathen. All right. Up until the time of the Gentiles be ended, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. So they've been living on a high horse in that land, winning, getting billions in aid. Some months they get billions. All right. It says Sheba and Dedan. All right. Which ultimately, all right, the ancient inhabitants of these lands, all right, were Hamites. But who ultimately is inhabiting these lands now? It's the Arabs. Okay. The Arabs, man. Which we see friction, all right, between the Arabs, all right, in Israel right now. All right. Let's get the book of the Second Esdras 15 and 28. Second Esdras 15 and 28. Okay. Behold, a horrible vision in the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia. All right. Now, when you look up Sheba, that's where the Hamites used to, dwell. Right. But who lives in that land now? Where is that at? Sheba, 7 or an oath. All right. Grandson of Cush, descendant of Ham, a nation in southern Arabia. Who now inhabits Arabia is the Arabs, the sons of Ishmael. Right. Dedan as well. It says, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. They all which hear them may that all which hear them may fear and tremble. And this is all being prepared now. These things are happening now. Also the Carmanians, all right, which we brought it out. We always bring it out. Carmax. Carmania is the historical region approximately that corresponds with the current province, Iran. All right, you can just look it up. Okay. The Carmanians also the Carmanians. All right. So you see the friction between the Arab world and Israel, right? And then you see the Carmanians, Iran, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. With great power shall they come and join battle with them. They're going to join their Muslim brothers and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. All right. And America is known as Assyria in end time prophecy. All right. But that could also speak to Israel. All right. As we know, Israel and America are allies. Again, all right, Israel was born out of, all right, the British Russia colonization, man. Okay, so we'll see. It could be a terror attack, and could be, something, where they, do some type of attack on America. Who knows? But we're living in a time where all of these things are coming to pass. And then shall the dragons, the Arabs, have the upper hand, remembering their nature, because they're wild men. Ishmael was a wild man, all right, in the scriptures. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. Who are they going to be persecuting? All right, Israel, the West, and it's going to be war. Okay. Then these shall be troubled, all right, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. So all of these things are getting ready to happen, and they're happening in our time. Okay. So going back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, right? Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish, which is Spain. Okay. Let's look up Tarshish. Sheba and Dedan is speaking to Arabia. Okay. Which the Arabs are over there. All right. Tarshish. It's a lot, right? Yeah, but through the spirit, we good, man. All right. Sheba, Dedan, the merchants of Tarshish. All right. This is Spain. Okay. Tharashash Yash. All right. Let's see here. Site unknown, but perhaps in Cyprus or Spain. It's speaking of Spain, right? All right. And when you go into what's happening now, right? Spain, Israel tensions soar as Madrid, all right, throws support behind Palestine. Okay. Spain, whose recognition of Palestine, the Palestinian statehood, angered. So Spain is pretty much siding with the Palestinians against what those small hats are doing. And it angered the Israeli foreign minister. Okay. Has now joined the ICJ genocide case, meaning they're bringing up a case against the small hats. All right. After Spain recognized Palestinian statehood, all right, they met, yada, yada, yada. And you can look these things up. I don't want to go too deep into it. See what this says, if it says anything.
Now, Spain says it will join South Africa's genocide case before the International Court of Justice against Israel's actions in Gaza. It was announced by the Spanish Foreign Minister, Jose Manuel Alvarez, on Thursday. Now, Spain will be the second European country after Ireland to join the case.
So, again, the beast is going to hate the whore. All right. And if you look back at a few videos ago, I just did a video where an EU chief was basically, admitting the wickedness that they've aided the small hats in America in doing. Okay. So right here, Sheba and Dedan, the Arabs, and the merchants of Tarshish, Spain, along with Italy and France, all right, are all going to be in cahoots to come up against this place, which that speaks to Revelation the 17th chapter, where the beast is going to hate the whore. Again, all of these things are going to be taking place, all right, all around the same time, leading to full out chaos and destruction, man. With all the young lions thereof, all right, shall say unto thee, out thou come to take a spoil. I mean, you go come up against the land of Israel. You know that's going to bring in America. You know, yada, yada, yada. All right. Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods and a great spoil? Let's read this in the NLT. All right. Let's see here. It says, but Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish will ask, do you really think the armies you have gathered can rob them of silver and gold? You know and understand that Israel is they're backed by some very, very powerful countries. Do you think you can drive away their livestock and seize their goods and carry off plunder? You really think you can come up against them in war? All right. So again, if you're saying that this is going to happen while we're in our kingdom, in our land, and new bodies, you retarded. Okay, you guys are really retarded, and we ain't. I ain't saying that in pride, but this is you're retarded. It says, therefore, Son of Man, prophesy and say against unto Gog, thus saith the Lord, in the day when my people in Israel dwelleth safely, shall thou not know it? Let's read this in the NLT, right? And because it says my people, because you do have Israelites over there in that land, right? But it's speaking to that region. It's speaking to the prophecy of what's going to happen to that land, because that land belongs to us, but it's inhabited by heathen. Heathen rule over that land right now. Okay? So you think we're going to return to our land and dwell safely in new bodies, but then all of a sudden these nations are going to come to rob us and destroy us and fight us? No. It's not going to happen. NLT, therefore, Son of Man, prophesy against God. Give him this message from the sovereign Lord. All right. When my people Israel are living in peace in their land, then you will rouse yourself. All right. And this is speaking to what's happening now. All right. But, the English language and how it's worded makes people bug out. Oh, my people dwell safely. So when we return to the land, man, Russia's going to come up against us, man. While we're living as gods on earth with spiritual capabilities, chariots flying around, okay, dwelling over all of our dwelling, our lands. The heathen are gonna, along Russia and all of these various different nations are gonna come together to come up against us. No, hell no. Ezekiel 38:15, thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee. You see, let's get the book of Joel 2. All right. The terrible visitation. All right. It says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. All right. For the day of the Lord coming, and it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not ever been anything like it, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. So once this war and this destruction comes to pass, it's nothing going to be like it anymore. Okay? Nothing. A fire devoureth them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, like they're in their kingdom right now. All right. And behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. All right. So this is speaking to war, and it's nothing going to be like this ever again once it happens, man. So the Lord is gathering these nations, okay, for the purpose of the end all be all. Okay. This is Joel 3:1. For behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, the Israelites, northern and southern kingdom, southern and northern kingdom, and I will gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. All right, which ultimately they're being gathered, all right, pursuant to prophecy. As a matter of fact, let's get real quick. Let's get Revelation 16 and 12. All right, this is the book of Revelation 16 and 12. It says, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared." Okay, and we showed videos of this before. All right, and the Euphrates River is being dried. All right, for prophecy's sake, they're stopping particular wells from running, but ultimately the Spirit, all right, has that happening. All right, so that stuff like this can happen.
The Russian military has built a bridge across the Euphrates River near Deir al-Zor, this to move troops and vehicles to the other side to support a Syrian army offensive.
See, they're moving troops to support Syria. All right, and when you, let's see. All right, Iran and Russia are strategic allies to form an axis in the Caucasus alongside Armenia. Iran and Russia are also military allies in the conflicts in Syria and Iraq and partners of Afghanistan. All of these places have been raided and messed up by the West. All right, Israel has their hands in it too. But as you can see here, this prophecy is being fulfilled. All right.
Russian media reports indicate the military erected the bridge under fire from Islamist militants in less than 48 hours. It could be used to deliver humanitarian aid and to evacuate the injured. Reports suggest up to 8,000 vehicles weighing up to 50 tons would be able to cross the bridge in any 24-hour period.
So, you know, pretty much, and that was 6 years ago, and this is still happening. This ain't stopped. All right, the way of the kings of the east, the Euphrates River is being dried up so that they can go and set up military coups, you know, help and aid Syria, because they have interest in Syria. You see, and America constantly starts friction over there so that they can, you know, raid it and steal resources. Okay. And also the kings of the east can speak to, all right, this Shanghai, all right, cooperation. All right, which the members of the Shanghai Cooperation are China, Russia, Kyrgyzstan, all right, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, India, Pakistan, Iran, observer, Afghanistan, Mongolia, all right, dialogue partners, Turkey, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Nepal, all right, Armenia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, all right. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization was founded in 1996 by the People's Republic of China, the Russian Federation, Kyrgyzstan, all right, and all of these stands in order to build mutual trust among member states and to disarm the border region and to encourage regional cooperation under the name the Shanghai Five, all right. And America is in these regions causing, all right, a ruckus, all right. So these nations, all right, are eventually going to band together, all right, and just come all up against America and including particular members of the beast system. You see? Again, all of these prophecies go together. They go hand in hand, all right? It's just that they ultimately, each prophet received their vision, all right, and they speak to it in a different fashion. But all of these particular situations speak to what we see happening and being formulated in this time. Okay, it's not something that's going to come after the Lord returns and we're in our land. Okay. Also, was that Joel 2? Okay, Joel 2 and 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, America, all right, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, all right, the Persian Gulf, okay, with his face towards the East Sea, the Persian Gulf, all right, which Iran is right there in that area, all right, and can destroy all of the assets and you know, which America have over there, all right, and his hinder part, all right, so with his face towards the East Sea, okay, the Persian Gulf, and his hinder part towards the utmost sea, the Red Sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things, and great things in wickedness. Okay, again, as it says in Revelation 20, after that 1,000-year period, leading into, the Renaissance. This devil, these small hats, and this beast system has done absolute wickedness, man. Okay. And it's leading to war. It's leading to friction. It's friction everywhere because of what these devils are doing, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish this chapter out and get up out of here. I know brothers and sisters have short attention spans, so you might have to watch this in sections, but the Spirit was just on me to go through it. Let's see here. Ezekiel 38:15, and thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, Russia, and many people with thee, and all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come against my people of Israel. You're going to come against that land, okay, as a cloud to cover the land. And it shall be in the latter days when I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I am sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. They're going to use Russia to do great things, which again, this is going to lead to America being drawn into war, okay? In World War III, Armageddon, all right? Valley of Yahweh-Shaphat. Thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days, all right, many years, that I will bring thee against them, all right? And you can go to the book of Jeremiah, Isaiah, all right? All of the prophets prophesied of these times, man. Okay, but they saw it in their own way, all right? And we're putting the pieces together for you, all right? Verse 18, and it shall come to pass at that same time when Gog shall come against the land of Israel. That's what they're going to come against, that land, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. All right. So they're going to come up against the land of Israel with all of these various different countries. For in my jealousy and in my fire and in my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. See? So it's going to be a great shaking when we're there and dwelling in peace with new bodies? No. After 1,000 years? No. Y'all dudes are bugging out. So that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of heaven and the beasts of the field and all the creeping things upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. All right. And the mountains shall be thrown down and the steep places shall fall and every wall shall fall to the ground. So this attack on Israel is going to lead to all out chaos and war. All right. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains. All right, saith the Lord God, every man's sword shall be against his brother. So again, the nations ain't going to learn war once we return back to that land. Okay, so y'all got it wrong. Okay, y'all are tripping. This is what we're saying. It's going to be all out war. Okay, World War III is going to extend from this friction. All right. And I will plead against him with pestilence and blood and rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, and overflowing rain and great hailstones of fire and brimstone. So it's going to be a great war. Thus I will magnify myself, all right, and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. Because again, the chariots are eventually going to come, man. And Gog is going to be destroyed too. They're going to be through. Okay, and let's get the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, to end this off. Okay, Isaiah 14:29. All right, judgment on Philistia, the land of Palestine. All right, Palestine is that area, man. Okay, Isaiah 14:29. Rejoice not, thou whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root, all right, shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent, man. All out war, okay? And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety, all right? And I will kill thy root with famine, and I will slay thy remnant, man. And when you read this chapter, it's going to the fall of Esau, Edom, right? As you keep going, that land. All right, verse 31, howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestinia, all right, art dissolved. All right, that whole land is going to be dissolved. Okay. And it was called Palestine, which is really named after the Philistines, but really that's the land of Israel. For there shall come from the north, Russia, a smoke, and none shall be alone, all right, in his appointed times, all right? So there's going to come a smoke against that land. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nations? That the Lord have founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it, because he's going to deliver his elect. All right. And all of the nations, when it's all said and done, okay, are going to know, all right, that we were the chosen people of the Heavenly Father. Okay. And that ultimately the only reason that we were down is because we went off, and that the Lord is not with these nations. Okay. So, let's see here. So again, that's it. You know what I'm saying? You know, the point was made. We'll eventually, we'll go into Ezekiel 39 as well in another video. But, you know, that's the point. You know, hopefully I was edified. And again, none of these things are going to happen, okay, after we return to the land and are at peace. When we're at peace, that's it. Order is going to be set up, and all of the heathen are going to be frightened of us. We're going to have them in check, man. Shalom.